If I still had it now, I could order a screen because I put LCD light up screens, inside my current one and replace its shell and everything because I have a real swanky pink one because, you know, pink transparent is the strat. But that Game Boy, that poor white boy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened to you. The Platinum one made it out fine. I don't know actually what, well, yeah, actually I think it was the transfer, now that I remember this. Younger brother, don't ever watch this. I think I Frankensteined your Game Boy into my new one because I don't know what I did with my clear indigo one. Oh, I'm gonna get there. Oh boy, poor Donkey Kong's hand. He's just drifting. He's just like, Diddy, remember me, bro, little buddy. And here's Diddy with his scratchy falsetto, and he's like, don't worry, DK, I won't forget you. I can't even do the cartoon right. It's just straight up like a falsetto most of the time, especially when he tries to sing. I can't do it right, and I won't do it justice. But I hope to get my PS5 fixed, and they told me 10 to 14 days of my planet's stay time. So hopefully, you know, it's all good in that time, and I look forward to actually getting to, alright, I guess the clam's off screen, so no more pearls. But yeah, I look forward to getting to play my game, even though Fire Emblem, I've already put like almost 25 hours into it in a matter of days. I got hooked into it very fast. But I just want to be able to, you know, have myself and have it work. All that hubbub about how good PS5s were, and here they are breaking on me out of my own control. Even the repair guy takes a look at my thing. Like, you know, they give it the up and down on the outside just to make sure that you aren't an idiot and you're just like throwing this thing around. They'd be like, well, yeah, of course it probably has optical drive problems. Your thing fell off 5 shelves. Look how beaten up everything is, right? But he looks at it and he's just like, oh, hey, this thing looks really clean. I was like, yeah, of course. Like, this thing cost me an arm and a leg. Like, tech ain't cheap now. You expect me to just, like, have it get beat up? No. I know how to take care of it. It's going to sit on that shelf, and I'm not going to let anything crash into it. It's a devoted space where nothing else is going to, like, hit it, except, you know, occasionally putting your PS5 controller on top of it. So this guy looked at it and he's like, yeah, everything looks pretty good from the outside, so we'll get to work at just seeing what the exact problem is. You know, honestly, this is one of those things where, like, they probably have to assume anytime anyone takes something in that, like, it was completely just them being dumb. Especially in the phone world, like, cracked and scratched screens aplenty from completely just like, oops, it was on my table and I didn't notice it, and bam, you give it the old elbow treatment, and that's one shattered screen on the ground now. And I'm not perfect. I've dropped my screen before, like my phone, but thankfully whenever I get a new phone, I know to put that thing in a case, and I know to get a screen protector ASAP. So the times I've had it fall and it's hit its corner, case has done its job. But for those people who's like, we'll fix just about anything kind of repair stores where they're trained on this stuff, they probably just have to be like, yeah, they're all dummies. We're getting the grandpas of the world who had their phone on the ground of the floor of the garage, showing their grit as they work on fixing like their car for their like grandson or something. And then they're on their rollerboard. Oh, yeah, that's right. You pull the King Zing from 2. I gotta remove all these, I think, at least. See, this is, whoops. This is how you do a boss. This isn't just a bee who's just gonna ram into your thing every time. They actually know to make this one a little harder. But yeah, old grandpa with his rollerboard probably just goes ahead and just runs over the thing in the garage, and then he kind of scratches his head and he's just like, oh, I didn't remember leaving that there. And it's like, Grandpa, that's the 3rd phone. My dad has been pretty bad. If we're talking about funky fishing, he is a lad who likes to go to his different fishing planets, right? Like, there's a lot of good ones out around his stretch. So he likes going out there, and he has a pretty infamous string of luck of dropping phones into lakes. This just happens. He never keeps it secure. It's like on the dash of his boat that he takes with him when he drives out there, because he always stores it inside his ship. Or like he just splashes it, pulling in the catch. Like, he's ruined like 3 phones. There's one time he was just like, "Hey, Corshel, like, the screen doesn't work anymore. Can you fix it?" And it's, God forbid, it's an iPhone. And I was like, yeah, sure, you ordered the part. Like, I've fixed stuff before. I'll give it a go. And like, how, okay, most people watching this probably do know. But you know how much heck it is to fix that? How many phases are there of this bee? I like that 2-for-1 though. I felt pretty fancy. But there's so many insane tiny parts inside an iPhone. That took me hours. I actually wasted like 5 to 6 hours of my life. That was an entire night I spent replacing that iPhone screen. And it was like, "Dad, please, there's more." Okay. He's absolutely gone. But that took so long, and I'm never going to fix an iPhone again. Sorry, I fix it. "Well, you sure told him to buzz off. You looked in trouble for a while." Actually, yeah, you heard me. "Come on. Hand it over. I'll take that banana for you. Make sure you wrap up warm. I have got a feeling. Yeah, I think that's grammar. You'll need to." All right, Cranky, we get to the one. We get to the famous level. Wow. This map does not look as good as I remember. But yeah, so when you deal with the generation who didn't start out with phones as immediately, when they get them into adulthood, because you're just like, here's this new cool thing. And you're like, neato. And honestly, like, phones weren't really expensive when cell phones really started making the waves, right? So maybe there's this kind of like a mentality of this like, "Oh, I broke my flip phone. phone. But it's just like $60 to buy a new one. Yeah, whatever. I'll just buy a new one, and we'll take it to the phone store, and they'll slap in a new SIM card, right?" But now, things have just gotten more expensive. So they're just like, "Here's your iPhone, and by the way, it's $1,000. And it's just like, "Dad, don't go dropping that into the water anymore, please." You know how much that is? And he makes pretty good money. There's a reason he can drive around to so many planets and fish when he wants to and have cool fishing adventures. So it's just like, maybe that doesn't matter to the right kind of person. But to me, it does. I don't want to have to buy things that I broke by my hand because I was being careless. So I try not to. So maybe, yeah, honestly, that would be my recommendation. If I could just get a copy of a SIM card and just be like, have this as the backup. This is your like waterproof flip phone that just cannot die. At least unless you like shoot it. This is your new phone. Please do not take it swimming again. Alright, let's make sure I get to that halfway barrel. It's coming up. There's just a crusher hanging out. Where is he? Laugh at me. Oh, man, that just... I love the big, like, dummy laugh of the other one where he's like... Instead, that cackle ain't bad. The voice doesn't really match. Where it's like... That's my cranky voice, is actually what that guy is. But yeah, I try not to ruin my things, and I like the bar being low enough I can pleasantly surprise a dude I mean, he's like my age. Maybe he should have understood. I'd be able... Ooh, okay, recovered. I gotta get used to these frames. Oh, this is a bad idea. Yep. Oops. But actually, this reminds me. My other story of the last week that is worth sharing is that... So, like, since we're talking about phones, my phone calling habit is that if I do not recognize the number or am expecting a call from a certain area, I do not answer it. I'm not the kind of guy. I'm glad I remembered this time. I'm just going to do this. I thought about it when I died before. And I was just like, there's this thing I just need to take. And I thankfully remembered which one it was. Woo! That saves me a bunch of trouble. But yeah, I do not answer the phone unless I know you or if I'm expecting something from like a general number in like a certain solar system's area code, right? So I'm at work. I'm doing the work thing. And I see this phone number that I don't recognize calling me. So I'm practiced. I'm like, okay, phone number. I don't know it. Maybe if it's important, they'll leave a message. I'll listen to the voicemail later, right? And so the first call comes and goes, and he immediately calls me again. And I was just like, look, man, I'm not answering. I told you I'm strong. I'm not going to fall for this. My phone's not saying it's like a spam number. And really, if it was a spam, like a bot or something, they don't usually try to call you back, and not with such tenacity. This wasn't like a couple of seconds later. This was like half a second. This man hung up and immediately hit the call button again. Just bam. And it's like, ooh, well, I'm still not answering. Sorry. This just ain't how I do. And this time, there's a voice message. So I was like, all right, sure. I guess I'll hear this out at least. Let's see what's going on. And there's just this dude who just like sounds a little hurried. And he's just like, hey, Josh, this is Pablo. We need to talk. Please call me back. And it's just like, oh no. This guy needs something and he's got the wrong number. He thinks I am somebody else. And this probably doesn't end well. Maybe he'll figure it out. Like, he didn't try to call me back again. So, like, maybe I'm fine, right? So, 10-15 minutes pass. And I get the call from the thing again. And you're just like, okay, this is him. I now know it's a dude, and he's looking for somebody. I'm gonna break it to him. I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna tell him it's the wrong number. I really need to remember my short hops. I guess I'm going up to the bonus now because it's better than dying. So, phone call happens, and he's just like, "This is Pablo," or like, or I guess he just asked because the call was, and I answer first. So I'm just like, "Hello," and he's just like, "Yeah, is Josh there?" And I'm like, "Oh no, sorry. This is Korshal, and I think you have the wrong number, my friend." And he doesn't say anything, and he just hangs up. So it's like, okay, cool. Like, message received. I was good. I wasn't rude about it. I didn't try to play any funny pranks. I'm gonna do an aside. One of my coworkers, peers can be, when I was explaining that voicemail, he's just like, Korshal, you've got to let him know that Josh died, right? If he calls again, just be like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but Josh is dead. It's like, look, man, I crack under pressure whenever there's anything like this. I cannot do anything like on the spot as an act like that. My boss does this when our store phone gets prank calls. He would just start messing with them. He would just like, he puts on a stupid voice and he starts saying absurd or profane things immediately until they hang up. And like a couple of my other coworkers will string them along until they start having ridiculous asks. There's like the calls, like the spam calls, who are just like, please give us a moment of your time to apply for our business loan of $100,000. And they'll answer it, and they'll start like having a serious conversation, right? Where they'll be like, they'll answer it, and the person will be like, yeah, we're here to tell you how you can get $100,000 as a business loan. And the same coworker who's just like, you should just say Josh died. Who's just like, all right, yeah, sure. I hear you can do me for 100,000, but I need to go a little higher. You do not understand the scale of my operation. I need $1 million. Show me you can do that, and then we'll talk. And the people hang up as soon as he does like $1 million as his thing. So I have some very practiced coworkers and boss who can, without missing a beat, be able to do these acts. But I crack every time. I am too pure a bean. And if they won't give it to me, and they'll be like, Corshell, think fast. And I'll just be like, oh no. And I just hang up. And they're like, come on, Corshell, why do you hang up? You had the opportunity. And it's just like, bro, you can't put me on the spot like that. I'm not going to succeed. What did you expect me to do? I'm just going to say, I don't know. I can dodge those bees all day on the SNES one and get my DK barrel. Something about it here is just different. So our sprites, maybe it's a different physics. Something's just off enough. I can't do it. Ooh, I wanted Diddy back. I had to give up. But yeah, so I can't do any funny things, and I'm definitely not going to do it to just a guy who's really trying to get in contact with somebody. Like, there's a story I was missing out on. There's some context of why this was so urgent that Pablo needed this Josh to get a hold of, right? But yeah, it comes and goes, and hours pass by. Actual hours. I am now hanging out with friends. Work has passed. I am just socializing, playing games, having a good time. And I have my phone next to me because, you know, you're playing around, like, you want to still be able to contact people if anything comes up. I typically keep my phone on either vibrate or silent because you don't want the alarm going off at work, right? You don't want to be rude, and you don't want to be distracted when you're on the job. I see my phone light up, and it's the same number. It's the same one from before. And I'm like, oh my God. This guy either forgot he called this particular number and was told it was wrong. Or, like, he's just calling it again. Like, he is so desperate for whatever's happening, he's trying everything again. And either he went to call history and went, this is clearly Josh, so I'm calling it back. Or he misdialed again. And he called my number again. I reacted on the spot. My friends are looking at me because I was just like, oh my God. Really? And they're just like, Corshell, what's going on? And I have to explain to them that this guy from out of system has kept calling me. And then he leaves a voicemail again. And he's just like, Josh, this is Pablo. I need to stay at your place for the night. Call me back. And I'm like, did this guy kill somebody? Is he trying to hide out? Like, what's going on? Why is this happening? But this isn't my problem. I collect myself. I go to my call history. I find the number. I go to details. And I choose block. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Pablo. I don't know what your life story is and why you need to get to this Josh so dang badly. But if you think this is him, Josh has excommunicated you. Josh has learned of your shit. And he ain't having anything to do with you anymore. So you're never going to get in contact with him again. He's going to think Josh has just like decided to end everything with them. Like, to Pablo's definition, oh, yes, I know. Pablo probably thinks Josh hates him now, and that, like, Josh wants nothing to do with him. All because he kept trying to call me Cordial Valent. So it's just like, you know, Pablo, you really should have had your act together. I'm sorry, dude. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You're the one constantly calling me. And I just, like, I haven't had... I thought that was going to be easy. I've never had anyone be that persistent either. Like, usually if someone tries to call once, and that's it. And you would think, after you tell them it's the wrong number, they would bother to check again. That's why I was so floored. I couldn't believe it. I stare at my phone like the devil every time I have to make a phone call. Every time I'm doing any sort of business call, I study that. Oh, whoa, I just had to shoot out of the barrel. I study that phone number on that search result like a madman. Because I die from embarrassment anytime I mistakenly do like any sort of like shout out or anything. I just like beef it, and either it's a number I don't know, or like when you get somebody's name wrong and you're just like, yeah, you're so and so, and they're like, oh, sorry, I'm this or that. Or like you think there's somebody else and you're like, oh no, and you just like, I just stick my head right into my armor. I'm ready to die for probably at least a half an hour and be like, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm done. I've failed, and my social experience of the day is now well and done. So you don't want to make that mistake with phone calls either. So I punch in my number, I stare at my phone. I'm looking at it good. I look back at my phone, and I read it out loud. Wow, I slide so much. Also, I swear these go slower than on the original. There's all these little things I feel like I'm noticing. But yeah, I make sure I don't mess up the phone call, because I don't want to waste my own time and also look like a dummy who's wasting somebody else's time. Because either you call a wrong business or you just call somebody random and they're not expecting a phone call. Why, like, what am I doing just calling them when I'm on a totally different planet with my different area code? And it's just like, I would just die. I've never done that. I never want to be in that position where I end up doing it, because I'm never going to be able to live it down. Even if it's just me, even if I'm just alone at my home and I make the mistaken phone call because I'm trying to take care of something, I will remember that, and it will be the stuff of nightmares that you wake up 2 years later and your brain's just like, remember when you messed up on that phone call and you were really embarrassed and it actually doesn't matter in the long run, but you remember it? And I was like, yes, brain, I do. I do remember that, and it still embarrasses me. And I'm having secondhand embarrassment right now. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean. So I take that really seriously. Whoop, I knew that guy was a bunch of trouble. I think I'm at near the end. I swear that claptrap sped up when I walked, but I am at the end. Thank goodness.